welcome back to yet another 213 Crispy video, and today we are working on our project, Miss Budweiser. This project is actually sponsored by HughWinout.com. They were able to be generous enough to supply us with a brand new Skyfly FS GT3C fully chargeable digital programmable controller. So make sure you go check out their website, or also check out their Amazon store if you are in the market for any quad chopper parts or drone parts or any kind of RC remote control and receiver needs. They sell just about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So make sure you go check out their link. The link will be down low in the description on the video to their pages. But today we are finally getting our hands dirty with the Miss Budweiser. So today's video is going to be getting the motor out and getting it freed up. So just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm trying to pull this rope and it's just stuck. So it tells me internally it's just gummed up from nitro sitting in it, and that's what happens with nitro, is it gums up and it basically acts like the motor's locked up. So we're going to tear this apart and rebuild the engine, get it nice and clean, and get it back together. So first things first, I've already removed our old fuel tank and the old receiver out of here just to kind of speed some things up. So you got two fuel lines. One is actually a vapor that goes back to your exhaust, more of like an overflow, and then this is your actual fuel inlet that goes into the carburetor. Looks like we're going to need some Allen wrenches, and we're going to start by trying to get access down into this. So I don't know what size these are off the top of my head, but I do know that they're small. So let's try 2mm. Nope, 2.5. I think that's it. Maybe not. We'll try standard, which is 3/32. Good grief, they put these things on hard, tight. So that one's coming. So there's 4 Allen wrenches. I'm not going to bore you guys with getting all of these out, but let's go ahead and get the one out so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, well, that's awesome. So yeah, so we'll work on getting these out and we'll go from there. I'll be right back, guys. So I went ahead and stole some things kind of all over my garage, but first things first, we're gonna do after run oil. So most people in this world, you're gonna notice everybody makes something quote unquote specific to the application on whatever you are doing. And after run oil is no exception to that for the nitro engines. And a lot of people don't like running nitro because they don't understand how certain things work and whatnot. So I used to use an after run oil whenever I had a T-Max when they were brand new. That tells you how old I am in the nitro world, but I have not had one in a really long time. So I did some research and found out that you can run 50/50 of a automatic transmission fluid and Marvel Mystry Oil, or my buddy JJ suggested just running straight ATF. I'm gonna do the 50/50 just because I like having a little bit of oil in with it, so it's more of a protectant than anything else. So what you do is you find yourself a decent size bottle. So to give you an idea of comparison to size, this particular fuel bottle that came with my other kit is a 250cc. I believe this was 500 milliliters. I could be wrong, somewhere like that, but you notice a lot different in size. So it's not ginormous, but it's enough that when you're mixing things, that it's not the end of the world. You're not making a little tiny amounts and trying to just store just a little bit. So it's not rocket science, people. Just eyeball it, guess. If you're a little off on one or the other, it's not the end of the world. And these are both going to be red. That looks close enough for me. So that's the Marvel Mystry Oil inside our container. And then our ATF. I always suggest using high-end products if you can, no matter what you're doing. So I'm a huge believer in Mobil 1 Oils and their products that they sell. So I'm going to use. Now I will give you a warning. Stuff is red, so be careful. Because if not, it will stain whatever you're working with and you won't get it out. So that is how I make my after-run oils for your RC engines. So there you go. Simple, easy, not very cost effective, or very cost effective comparably speaking. I think one of these bottles on Amazon was like $2. I bought 4 for I think $8 to $10 shipping. I already had the Marvel Mystry Oil and I've already had the ATF from gun stuff, so it's the same mix rate. 50-50 is actually, this is a really good gun lubrication as well. So I know it's kind of one of those quirky things that some people know and don't know about it, but so long story short, this was locked up inside the boat, so we got it out. I just quickly glanced at it and was looking at it, and I noticed that it's actually free now. It was just stuck in the up position, which is a fully closed up. The piston was all the way up, so it's extremely hard to pull. But now, so you notice, it's free. I mean, it's still not great. It's not completely free, but it's not seized up and froze up like it was. So normally you take a heating gun to this, which I have over here. You take a heat gun and apply some heat to this. That would turn that gel back into a liquid and it would free up the engine. But in this case, because it is not needed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the carburetor off once I find the appropriate flathead screwdriver that's needed for the job. We're going to pull the carburetor off. So yes, I could technically use the little screwdriver that came in the kit. I forgot that they were over there, honestly. So what it's doing is it'll back out. There's a nut on one side, and it's basically just a keeper pin that screws in and out. Come on. I'm going to pull this guy out. And that should free up our carburetor, which it does. So there's that. Then, actually, I want to go ahead and remove these bolts. And I'm going to show you a little trick that I've learned a while ago. With anything that's related to nitro engines, your best cleaner for nitro, ironically, is fresh nitro. It's the best thing you can probably soak anything into to get And then on your carburetor, you got a needle. So we're going to take this thing apart here in a minute. We're going to work on that. So, got a couple different ways of doing this. I am going to start by taking some fresh nitro. Sorry, I was reading my email, or not my email, text message. JJ was texting me. So you're going to take some fresh fuel. You're going to go and steal either your wife's or your mom's or whoever you're living with. Go steal a Tupperware container from the kitchen. Do not give this back to her. It's now yours because you're going to put chemicals in it. Last thing you want to do is, quote unquote, wash it and you guys get sick. So just make sure whatever you do, mark it like garage or something so that way this does not end up back being used for food. But take some fresh fuel. I know, it's a decent amount. So you're going to take the fuel and you're just going to let it sit there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your components and you're actually just going to let them soak inside of the fresh fuel. So in this case, carburetor's off. We're just going to let it sit. I know, seems like rocket science, doesn't it? But the fresh fuel will actually break down any of the gunk that's left in it, and eventually this will end up changing colors. You know what, I'm going to put a little bit more fuel in here. This fuel is pretty much bought for cleaning only. I've heard decent things with Byron's, but it's kind of one of those mixed things. I know everybody's got their own preference, and it is what it is. So, that's that. I need to get the glow plug out of here, and I honestly forget which side fits the glow plug. So let's start with this. That does not fit. It's too big. That's too small. That's definitely too small. So I guess I'm going to go tinker with this off camera, find out what fits this. And what I want to do is get actually, you know what, I'm going to soak all of these bolts with lock washers because nitro is extremely corrosive to begin with. So since I've got it apart, I'm not doing a full resto cleanup on this thing, but I want to get it so it runs. Sorry about that, my camera died or shut off after I was working on getting the head off. So I got the head off by taking off the 4 bolts for the head, and then once you get the head off, there is a gasket, a metal gasket that goes on top of the cylinder head as well. Make sure you get that off, don't lose it. I'm still not able to get the tool inside of here to get that out, so I'm gonna have to tinker with that off camera with some regular tools and not our 4-way that we got in the kit. Got everything disassembled on the engine. The carburetor is off. The carburetor is soaking in fuel, and I've got fuel sitting inside the cylinder and inside the bottom lower unit of the engine. It's soaking. I'm going to let that soak for probably an hour or 2, and we're going to come back and basically reassemble this and kind of go from there. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. So make sure you got your after-on oil made and ready to go. I used my fuel tank from our nitro kit to put the fuel inside of our engine, like so. I know I just spilled some, it's not the end of the world, but this is new Byron's fuel, Gen 2, 30% nitro is what I'm using to clean all of this with. So all the hardware is inside there soaking. So anything that sits in the nitro, I would suggest you soak, because nitro is actually a really good cleaner for itself to get rid of the gunk in the cake and everything else. So I do have a new glow plug, so I'm going to go get this removed off the head, and then we'll be back, guys. So give me some time. In your case, it's going to be like 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Everything's been soaking for, I would say about 2 hours now. And we're going to start by going over a couple things. I was able to get the head apart, and when I took the head apart, I knew that there was 4 washers or O-rings inside of there, but unfortunately I lost one, so I had to run to the parts store and was able to find 4 1/4 by 1/8 by 1/16 O-rings at Ace Hardware. Unfortunately, they were like 75 cents a piece or some shenanigans of baloney-ness. So we're going to start by checking out the motor so you guys can see what I'm talking about on how well this thing has cleaned up. All it's been doing is just sitting here. I haven't done anything to it, not scrubbed anything, and so I'm going to spin this over a little bit. So you're going to notice the liquid in this, the fuel that's inside our bowl. See how kind of clear and translucent that is, and then if you look down here, kind of hard to see, but this is pretty cloudy, and this is just all the crap and the gunk. And the gentleman I bought the boat from told me his son did not use it very much because they did not have access to a great place to run it. So that tells me it's probably just been sitting more than anything, which is why I knew it needed to be stripped apart and cleaned. So I'm going to take this out, and we are going to dump this out. Give it a good couple spins. So there we go. So nice and free, looks good. It's not a full tear apart, rebuild, clean video. This is just to get this engine back to its operating condition so we can enjoy a boat for the end of the summer. And then this winter I'm going to tear this thing completely apart and probably clean a bunch of it and actually make it a really nice clean boat. I just want to get it on the water as quickly as I can. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrub with this is actually a new toothbrush, but do not use this and then put this in your mouth, obviously, but you never know with some people. So we're going to start by putting the head back together. So I'm going to take your toothbrush, take your head, and just give it a gentle scrub. Do both sides. The agitation from the toothbrush will get any stubbornness that's left in it. So there you go. Pretty simple, pretty easy. When you're putting your head back together, it's only going to go on one way. Does not go that way. It goes that way. And so always make sure that your glow plug, where did I put the glow plug? I did not clean it. I have one somewhere. I don't know where I put it. There it is. Hidden by the bowl. But that's how you know the bottom side of this. I'm not putting the glow plug in right now. Next step is your head bolts and your 4 washers to put this together. And I'm trying to remember which 4 it was, and I believe it's these 4 here. Two, 3, 4, I know I'm probably doing this backwards comparable to some other people, but this is how I'm going to do it. This way I don't lose any gaskets or O-rings or nothing crazy. Nothing goes cattywampus on me, so. And then they just fell out. Oh, so I'm gonna fight with this off camera. We're gonna get this put back together. I'll be right back, guys. Fought with that for a little while off camera, and I was able to find my new glow plugs that I did purchase. So that was the most important part for me, is I wanted to make sure that I got the new glow plug on. So to change the glow plugs on this particular engine, I have to take the water jacket off to get to the plate. Dumb design. I didn't build it. I didn't make it. It is what it is. I can't fix stupid. So that's that. So we got that part of it done. Let's go ahead and move on to our, let's go and do our pull start. So the pull start, there is just a couple pieces. You got your one-way bearing, which is already on it, your spring that goes inside it, and then your pull start assembly. It's got the hole for it as well to go into. Then you have to fight with getting that bearing lined up. Come on. There we go. And then it's the 3 stainless steel Phillips head screws. And the reason why I want to put this on first is because I want to put my after run oil in this before I put the carburetor on. Get it nice and lubed up, ready to go. There we go. So it's got plenty of compression. As you can hear it, you can feel it, you can see. Takes a decent amount to be able to get this thing to turn over, which is nice. That's why I said I know this motor is in great shape, because it was not ran for hardly any amount of time. So that's that. Normally I would be putting on a new exhaust gasket on this as well, because we're this far into it, but again, I don't have one. And it already looks like it's probably bad anyway. I may have to order that. That'll be another time. But we're going to start by taking our after run oil, put 4, 5, 6 drops, whatever you feel, shake it around a little bit, I want this to kind of get everywhere inside this engine. I would tell you, normally if you had ran it and you just wanted to coat some things around, give it about 3, 4, 5 pulls. So we're going to do that now. So there we go. Check and see if we had any oil coming out of the exhaust port. So I'm going to put a couple of drops down in here just to lube up the cylinder. Normally you wouldn't put this much in it. And I also would not have suggested doing all of this with a new glow plug on either, but I am at the mercy of what I have available to me. So it's the old saying, unfortunately it is what it is. So next up, we're going to go ahead and move on to our carburetor. So like I said, this thing has been sitting for a while. With the main carburetor base assembly, you just want to make sure that this passageway that goes down to your needle down in the center is free, so you can actually take your mouth, put it on this and blow. Or if you have canned air or compressed air, you can do that too. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is a free passageway, so that is good. I'm happy with that. And then we are going to move on to the other side. And this one should have a spring in it. Oops. We'll just do it this way. Sometimes it's easier working backwards than it is the other way. So there we go. Push your boot back up and over and on it. Then just checking to make sure all the adjustments look correct, which they do. Next one's going to be the needle that holds this into place, or the set screw. And that's what keeps it from backing out. Oh, gotta get the set screw out of my way. There's a little base where the screw screws into. And that is what holds the carburetor on. Now obviously I'm going to have to fine tune everything. I'm not going to go over all of that. No real need to. Once I get it dialed in and starts, just to get it roughly, then I'll bring you guys back with that. But that's how you tear apart, assemble a motor that's been sitting for a relatively long time, and that's how you reassemble it back together. Just take it apart slowly, piece by piece. The screws that are left in here are the mounts for the 4 mounts that holds this to the mount bracket on the boat, and then the other 2 are the exhaust manifold bolts. So I'm not going to bore you guys with watching me put together that. I mean, everybody knows how to put that part of it back together. Just wanted to show you guys kind of the gunk that came out of here. You can actually see the trash floating around inside there. All of that came out of this engine, and that's just the gunk and the junk that just sits from using a nitro boat and just letting it sit with nitro in it. So, yes, so got everything put back together. Everything went back together smoothly, but I don't have the electronics hooked up, so I'm manually controlling the servo by hand. Not a big deal. It's just something that I have to be aware about. I do have it started roughly. I know it's not tuned or nothing, so it's not running the best, but it does start, runs. I just want to give you guys a functionality test to let you know that the motor does work. So we are going to go ahead and do another start on this thing really quick, and I know that the prop shaft needs lubed up. There's something going on with the shaft assembly because it's extremely loud. Extremely. So let's go ahead and do a quick start on this thing real quick and go from there. So that was the wrong way. I turned the idle basically off to kill it. So there you go. So it does work. Like I said, I think we got some grease. Something to go with the prop shaft is vibrating like a mother. So we're going to have to take apart that, give that a good once over to see what's going on. But that's going to be another video. So just want to give you guys the heads up to let you know that the boat does start and run like it's supposed to. I need to get the electronics hooked up, so that's going to be a video on its own. We're going to do a future video on hooking up the new electronics and getting that squared away. We know that the engine runs, so that's a good thing. And then last thing I think we need to do is do some hull repair, because we got a couple cracks and some stuff around the edges. But all in all, I'm extremely happy with this. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for taking your time for your watch and the efforts of me supporting me and myself. But also make sure you guys go check out the QWentOut.com, guys, for your receiver needs on anything and everything when it comes to your remote controls and receivers, but also any of your drone or quad parts. Go check them out, guys. They supported me on being a sponsor to this video, so I want to make sure that I share my love to that company for you guys. Like I said, I think I paid I want to say 38 or 40 bucks. I don't remember the exact price, but it's hands down probably the best priced receiver that I can probably get within an affordable range for most people, because not everybody wants to spend $150 on a 100% all digital touchscreen, all that fun stuff. But anyhow, I know I'm rambling. Thank you guys. QWentOut.com, description down below for that. Other than that, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for your support and with your subscriptions. And thank you guys for all your comments. So with that, I'm going to wrap this video up, and you have a wonderful and fantastic day.